people falling victim to pyramid investment scams or Ponzi schemes have become rampant in the past month. Billions of pesos have been lost, and now the victims do not know what to do or who to sue because most of the persons involved in these scams have fled the country before justice could be served. Ponzi scheme is an investment fraud that promises investors to double or even triple their money with little or no risk. It requires a consistent flow of money, which is why it needs to lure new investors to continue. The money given by the new investors are used to pay the existing investors. Named after Charles Ponzi, based in New England, who lured people into investing money on his businesses in the 1920s. In return, he promised 50% profit within 45 days or 100% profit within 90 days. The Securities and Exchange Commission uncovered numerous unlicensed investment firms and aptly closed them down. However, why do people fall easily to these types of scams? What is it about these types of investments that make it so irresistible that even politicians and professionals fall for it? How can a person protect themselves from being a victim? How can they know if the firm they are willing to invest their money in is legitimate? Good evening. I am attorney Karen Jimeno and you are watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News channel. This show is about making the law work for you by giving legal advice on topics that matter to you.
And I'm attorney Rod Nepomuceno. Tonight, we will be discussing your rights on the issue of investment scams, what you need to do in order to protect yourself, and what you should do when you have been a victim of it. Ayan, very interesting topic.
You know, when I read about the Amari future scam recently, I thought about this warning commercial I watched before that if you invest in these scams, para ka na rin nagpanakaw, which is true. This is your hard-earned money and they disappear.
That's right.
So I was thinking, what can the government do to make this disappear once and for all?
I think there are a lot of bills right now.
Yes, there was one back, I think in 2004 that Senator Villar authored na, that sought to define pyramiding scams more. But under our Consumer Act, there's already a provision there that differentiates pyramiding scams from multi-level marketing.
Yeah, I think that's a tough part. You know, how you differentiate what a legitimate business is, a multi-level marketing and pyramiding. Just to make things clear, just because it's a multi-level marketing scheme doesn't make it illegal nor illegitimate. No?
Yeah, as long as there's a product involved that you're really selling.
The question, of course, is what cases should victims file against these perpetrators? You know, that's the main thing.
There's several of them. I mean, one, of course, is that you can file estafa. It's a criminal case if there's deceit involved, diba? Especially if they promise you that there's a business behind it, yung pala wala naman.
Yeah.
Like this Aman Futures case,
And of course, you can also file sa NBI immediately just to get relief, and immediate action on the part of the government. Yeah. Of course, the show right now, this episode of Legal HD will provide you with some answers, some answers to all these burning questions that are happening, especially now when it seems to be in the front pages of almost all the major newspapers. One question comes from a viewer. Her name's Leah, and she asks, a former colleague invited me to attend a seminar with her in Ortigas. The seminar turned out to be a recruitment forum for a pyramiding scam. They want new members to give them money and then sell their products. Then recruit more members to sell more products. Are these types of businesses real and legit? So that we were talking about that.
Yeah, we were talking about this because under the Consumer Act of the Philippines, there's really a difference, Leah, between pyramid schemes, which is prohibited, and multi-level marketing. If there's really an actual product involved and you're required to recruit, normally it's more of a commission that you're getting, and then you also get a commission from the product you're selling. If they are trying to make you invest in these types of pyramiding scams, again, you have to distinguish kung multi-level marketing or pyramid scheme. If they're just asking you to invest, you have to look for a license for them. If they should have a permit to sell these types of investments. Pag wala, you can file a case against them in the SEC.
Definitely you have to just, is there a product or a service that's being sold? Kung wala, if most of the profits and the returns are being taken from recruitment fees or what they call investment, then that's the red flag right there. No? So, but there's a lot more. We can talk about this more in detail because we have a lot of guests. We have a number of guests today. One who's a victim, and also several members from
the government agencies
who
are able to help those investors. Let's take a short break. Legal Help Desk will return after these reminders. This is Julio Jaime, a top official of the Barangay Councilors League of the Philippines. He and his wife are accused of running a multi-million peso investment scam that has defrauded 300 people nationwide. Complainants claimed Jaime duped them and their friends into investing millions of pesos in Pilipinas Productions and Entertainment and Pilipinas Entrepreneurial Economic Development Corporation. This is Donnie. He was a friend of the Jaimes for 20 years. He was enticed to invest for a 20 to 100% return on investment in 30 to 60 days. But as he learned, not even friends are susceptible to scams.
Nung early this year, nung May, tumawag yung sister ko. Sabi niya, gusto kong kausapin ni Aimelin. Yun yung kaklase ko, Aimelin. Nung magkausap kami, sabi niya, part may project. Ganyan. So, ang dami niya na sinabing project. So, bottom line sabi niya, invest ka. Sabi ko, magkano? Kahit magkano. Magkano interest? Diretsahan. So sabi niya, 30, depende, 30 to 40 hanggang 100%. After 2 months lang, nung nag-invest kami, wala na, hindi na. Hindi na bumabalik yung pera. Kumbaga, bigay na lang kami ng bigay, tapos lahat ng checking in issue niya, talbog na ng talbog. Accidentally, may na-meet akong isang tao, no, nung nagpunta kami dun sa bahay nila. Ngayon ko lang nalaman, ang dami na pala namin, more or less 200 na tao. And in counting, no, lahat-lahat siguro, mga nearly 300 million to 400 million. Actually, sa grupo, sa ibang grupo at sa mga nakilala ko, may nawawalan ng bahay, nawalan ng trabaho, nagkahiwalay. Ganun yung effect. No? Personally, sa ako, yung isang bahay ko nawala. It's 1.7 million nawala. Of course, dapat bayaran na yung tao. Kahit wala na siguro yung interest, principal na lang. Kasi siyempre hindi naman yung hinukay lang sa backyard at binigay sa kanila. Kumbaga it's hard-earned money, no? And dapat makulong sila. Kumbaga they have to pay for what they've done.
And we are back. You are still watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News Channel. And we are now joined by our guest, Attorney Gerard Lucban. He is the Commission Secretary for the Securities and Exchange Commission. Welcome, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. And we'd also like to welcome Donnie. He is representing his group who have filed cases against the Jaime couple and whose case we have just seen on the video. Good evening, Donnie. No? Good evening, Attorney Lucban. Okay, so, Donnie, so you kind of explained yung situation. No? What is the current status at the moment? Basically, you don't know where the couple is.
Yeah.
So, yung problema mo ngayon.
Right now, the whereabouts of the couple is unknown, actually. We already filed case RTC in Makati. And
What's the allegations? Anong case yung final?
Estafa.
Estafa.
For the couple.
For the couple. So it's not syndicated estafa, which requires filing.
We just learned later when we go to NBI. Then they advised us that it should be syndicated estafa.
Syndicated estafa kasi carries a death penalty and or life imprisonment.
We can learn from here that even if the potential investee is a close friend or a relative, huwag kayong magtiwala.
Yeah.
You really still have to check.
Have you coordinated though with SEC
SEC.
and?
Yeah, actually we tried because we just come up this complaints from other victims just 2 weeks ago. Right now we're preparing a letter to be sent to SEC.
To the SEC,
it's nice to have attorney here.
Ano yung attorney? What would happen? No? Should they file a complaint? What?
Apart from the estafa case,
apart
can
from
they
the estafa case.
file anything with the SEC?
Yeah, separate and distinct from the estafa case. We've been discussing it earlier prior to the show. the respondents may be charged for violation of the Securities Regulation Code. They could be held liable for selling unregistered securities. They could be held liable also for operating without a secondary license. We've been coordinating, we've been trying to get all the supporting documents they can make use of. And in the process, we were discussing this. It seems that one of the tips or the advice that we've been giving to the public is not to be too trusting sometimes, especially when you're letting go of hard-earned money.
Right.
Sometimes it becomes the singer, not the song. They say. If someone's singing it that's close to you, then you'd believe it.
Yes. Attorney Gerard, can you quickly explain lang what this secondary license is that investors should look out for?
Yes, the secondary license we've been trying to inform the public about this is that the license for a corporation to be able to sell securities or investment contracts to the public. So this is separate and distinct from the certificate of registration of your articles of incorporation, which you would have to acquire by submitting or presenting to us your registration statement, including the prospectus, which would tell us and the public
what the business is
what
about.
you're getting into.
Yeah, kasi it's important also to note, no? Kasi sometimes they don't use necessarily the word securities, no? They're not necessarily, di ba? They're not necessarily going out there and saying to the public, oh, we're selling securities.
Yes, but
They normally,
actually, if you read the definition of securities
Yes.
in the Securities Regulation Code,
Yeah.
it says any types of It's very
Investment-
broad.
yeah.
Investment
Yes, yes.
contracts.
Investment
That's why.
contracts.
In our
bonds.
case, they're using loan.
Loan. So they
But
said
even
business
loan.
loan-
participation.
Yeah, but
Business
even loan
participation.
is
Ayan,
covered.
those are the things you have to look
Yeah.
out for. Business participation,
Loan.
loan. So they called it a loan. So
Yeah.
let me ask a question. Did you have a contract with the
Actually,
with, the
when
Hannah
they present you the business, they don't mention about the contract. It's about the money, then the PDC check that they will issue.
Oh, okay.
Then they will follow send you a contract, but it's not a contract, it's undertaking.
It's an
It
undertaking.
state that the company has a loan.
Yes. Another thing I'd like to point out pala, you also have bounced checks, right?
Yeah.
And you can file that separately from the Estafa case.
Yes.
A bouncing...
Yeah, PD22.
yes.
PD22, no?
na bouncing checks law that apart from the Estafa case, you can also prosecute them for the bounce checks.
Yeah.
Is it criminal?
Yes.
Yes,
yes,
it is. It is a criminal.
Yeah.
It's a special law, and that one is for the mere act of issuing a bouncing check. Is already a crime.
Criminal
So,
offense, yeah.
for the sake of our televiewers, estafa, swindling, deceit, defrauding, they're all the same. No? This is all under Article 315. So in your case, there was a clear deceit on the nature of the business. They were saying that they had mga partners.
Yeah,
They had partners which are renowned brands, right?
Yeah.
So
International.
international brands. And they had a website.
A
May
website,
website pa.
yeah. They do
So
have
that's the other thing. Maybe we can tell our televiewers, even if my website sila, even if they...
It's not
yeah,
necessarily an indication
Yeah.
that it's a legitimate business.
Right. Kasi in this case, they were parang name dropping
Yep.
top brands, di ba?
Top brands.
If you go to the portal is still up, the
Have
website
you
is still up.
checked if they're really connected with those brands?
We sent letters to those companies, but unfortunately they didn't reply.
We have a question here. If you're already a victim, what are the chances that they will get their money back and win a case? No, I guess this is a question for attorney Lucbana. So what do you think there's a chance that they can still get their money back?
Well, it's a case-to-case basis, but in the recent past, if we check out the history, we've the Filipino people have they fell victim to a lot of Ponzi schemes. Like we had the Tibayan case, we
Right.
had the Rose Balajay, the Multitel.
Multitel, yeah, that's right.
We have the Mateo Group. And sometimes they're able to recover a portion of
Portion,
it, but
yeah.
totally not to be the bearer of the bad news, but looking at recent history, it's very seldom that you get to recover anything.
Now, in your case, Tony, were you able to get some of your money back at all, or you always rolled it out? Did you roll
At
it
first
out?
we tried. Of course, you have to test. It's true. So a portion, a very little. Then after that, we invested full blast.
I think that's something that the viewers should also learn from, that even if you get your money back the first few times, doesn't mean it's a legitimate business as well. Because maybe that's also a way that they entice investors to invest more, no? Na una may babalik, so they make you taste some profits first.
Maybe the first thing that they have to consider in my own lesson, trust should be put on last.
Last, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be objective, no?
Objective about the business,
using the
no?
standards that Attorney Lipban was telling us.
And like in our case, we put trust first.
Right. Kasi tayong mga Pilipino, we have a tendency na, okay, kaibigan ko yan, or classmate ko yan, and that's the problem sometimes.
Yeah, well, I hate to interrupt you, gentlemen. There is still more to talk about, but we would like to thank our guest, Donnie, for joining us today, and thank you for sharing your experience so that other people can learn from it. Let's take another short break. Legal Help Desk will be back.
Chinky Tan is a life and wealth coach. He advises us on how not to be a victim of pyramid and other forms of scams.
Before we talk about investment, we have to understand first the three main rules of investment. The first rule in investing is never invest in something you do not understand, no matter how profitable it may be. Number two, always remember in money, the rule about money is the higher the interest, the higher the risk. The third rule is never invest based on the function of trust. Who can cheat you out of your money? The people that you trust, the people that you believe in. And unfortunately, how can a blind person lead another blind person? Whether it's intentional, malicious, or non-malicious. But the point is, once you cough out your money already, the problem is you lose your money.
Okay. Now, when you say dupe, okay, most of them sometimes don't know what to look for. What are the immediate red flags that check out?
Well, number one, if they always pressure you, high pressure selling. Okay, if you don't invest right now, you will lose it. There's no more opportunity. So they try to force the money out of you. They would also ask you to become an agent. So like for example, Haman offers 40%. So he will not offer the 40, he will only offer 20, but still that's a lot. So they will get it's called the OPM. OPM is other people's money. So you get other people's money and then you invest it at 40 and you pay 20, so you receive the 20.
Taking the advice of Chinky, we have to be assertive in researching the background, the persons and businesses inviting us to invest. And if we do that, we can avoid being victims of such scams.
And we are back. You're still watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News Channel. We are still joined by Attorney Lucban of the SEC. Also here with us is Attorney Cesar Bacani. He is the Chief of the Anti-Fraud and Action Division of the National Bureau of Investigation. Welcome, sirs.
Welcome, Attorney Sir.
Thank you.
Attorney Bacani.
I'd like to address a question first to Attorney Gerard. What are the red flags or warning signals that investors should look out for every time they're approached by scammers?
One is you have to check if they're registered as a corporation.
And is this easy to do? Can they do it online?
Yes. A common mistake of the people who fall into these scams would be as long as the one inviting them to join the investment scheme would show the certificate of registration, they would automatically think this is a legal thing. But we have to monitor. So after you register, we monitor it. And once you start selling to the public, we require you to have a secondary license, which means you have to have a secondary license to sell securities or investment contracts. So that's the second thing. The third thing is the one they're selling you actually is a product also. It's a product in itself. It has to be registered also with the SEC. And the fourth is that the ones selling to you are broker-dealers, they should be licensed.
Okay.
So you have to check all these four things.
Check all of those.
Okay.
So now, of course, the usual problem is once you feel you've been victimized by these Ponzi scammers or these investment scammers, first thing that enters your head, what is my remedy? And I think that's where the NBI Attorney Bacani kind of comes in as a handy institution to have. No? What's the first thing that they need to do? No? I mean, if they feel that they've been wronged and they couldn't find, ngayon yung usual case,
They
hindi na nila mahanap, they disappear. No? What is the usual first step that they take?
Well, the investors, victims, may come to the NBI to file a formal complaint. From there, we will get their sworn statements, their allegations, and we will check all the documents presented to them or misrepresented to them by this.
What division specifically, sir? Anong division nila pupunta sa NBI?
It's the division, the anti-fraud and action
Anti-fraud,
division, which specifically handle this particular kind of complaints.
But the NBI does not issue warnings, or is there a bulletin or post that people can check para as soon as they're approached by someone, they can say,
No,
wait, I'll just check this first.
Once we receive the complaint, we don't usually inform the public right away whether there's because there might be it might still be possible for us to arrest or to do some.
Kasi they might fly away or they might escape.
To warn the persons being complained of. But once everything is let's say already spread out, and that's the time for the NBI to invite all the other victims to come in and join in the complaint filed earlier.
Yung timeline, sir, the moment I file a complaint, no, I made allegations, what timelines can I expect from the NBI to create some action? Can the NBI immediately go to the address of the accused, or anong if I file the case, let's say Monday, anong kind of action can I expect from the NBI?
We can immediately issue subpoena
Yeah.
against the person's complaint of. If there is still a possibility of conducting entrapment operation, we may do it first.
Right.
We may resort it first. But once entrapment is no longer possible, that's the time to conduct an open investigation and to issue subpoena immediately once we have already gathered all the evidences against the persons being complained of.
Attorney Gerard, one of the victims in the Pilipinas Productions case was saying that they heard that the Jaime spouses involved in here were offering investments again to other potential victims. And the website that they keep using as the basis for the investment is still up on the internet. Is there a way for instance, the SEC or even the NBI to take down whatever, for instance, online
Yes,
basis they have?
the Securities and Exchange Commission has this power to issue cease and desist orders, wherein we can order them to stop whatever it is illegal that they're doing. For example, it would be the selling of securities without the necessary license or registration. Upon inquiry from the office or complaints from the public, we can issue, after hearing, due process being followed, can issue a cease and desist order on that.
So you have the power. You have the power to
Yes.
issue that. All right. Okay.
But you have to have someone filing a complaint or report to the SEC.
Not really. Like in the case of Aman, we never had any complainants. We just started with leads.
Okay. So about the proper, you can do it
Yes.
without any complaint. Okay. Well, we have one more question from our viewer, and this is from @ShareRipe51. The most widely known scam is the pyramid scam. Now, what other scams are out there? Do you know of any other investment scams?
Basically, all these investment scams may be considered as in a generic sense, a Ponzi scheme, wherein with promises of high profits, investors would be lured into this, and other investors would be lured in the process also. Pyramiding is a means by which they try to perpetuate what they're doing. So there are other investment scams that have been evolving for the past few years. When we've noticed way back in 2006 and in 2007, the Commission even addressed some problems concerning similar schemes which are already internet-based.
All right. Okay.
So it evolves
there's a lot there.
actually.
Oh, it's evolving now, no?
Attorneys, any advice to our viewers out there?
Yeah. On the part of SEC, our reminder always is for the potential investors to check out the company. And the Commission is always there if you want to check if it has a secondary license, the background of the company, the data is readily available. And,
By secondary license, you mean apart from the
yes.
SEC registration, look for the other licenses you mentioned.
The right to sell
Yes, and
securities. No?
please check out our website also. That's sec.gov.ph. We usually post investor alerts, advisories, And I advise that the potential investors keep themselves informed and updated.
See. And Attorney Bacani, any
On the
advice?
part of the NBI, if you feel you are victimized by this investment scam, the NBI is more than willing to help you, and just feel free to come to our office, particularly the Anti-Fraud Division. And it's our job to help you and assist in this predicament.
I'm sure you've been a very busy division.
But that's comforting to know
That's
that you have
comforting to know.
SEC and NBI actively helping
Yeah.
investors.
So folks, and remember, SEC and NBI, they're always there to help. And that is all the time we have for tonight. We'd like to thank our guests for tonight for joining us and educating us on how to protect ourselves from investment scams like what happened to Donnie, no? And thousands of victims of such schemes. I'm Attorney Rod Nepomuceno.
And I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. Please like our Facebook page and add us on Twitter. Join us again next week for another round of discussion as we talk about your legal rights. Good night.